Good morning. Good morning. It's the weekend, everybody. It's the weekend. I can't promise I'm going to be on here for a long time. Can't promise it, but something just told me to hop on here and say hello for a minute anyway. We got a couple of you tuning in pretty quick, don't we? Hello. It's the weekend. It's the weekend. I took me a day off yesterday. Took me a day off yesterday from everything. I did not flip one card yesterday. I do have some readings that I got to get to here in a minute, though, but I still figure there might be a chance we could get on here and talk about something cool. Figure there might be a chance we can hop on here and talk about something helpful, something cool, or maybe we'll just blab for a few minutes. I know one of my kids is already up downstairs eating breakfast. Leah's been getting up way earlier ever since the time change. She's been getting up earlier in the morning too. So my day might start early. Man, I've told you all this before, but I love being able to get up and have my me time for hopefully like 2 hours. Just sitting right here, playing around, nobody bugging me, nobody talking to me, just me and waking up my brain like a diesel engine on a cold day, you know? It's gotta fire up and run for a while before it really gets warmed up and amped up, you know? But ever since the time change, it's like the whole dynamic of the energy in the house changed. Leah gets up earlier, the kids get up. Well, actually, everybody gets up earlier. Everybody, thinking about it now. Yeah, everybody's up earlier now. Anywho, I know that's my favorite thing to say, isn't it? When it's time to change subjects, I say, anywho. What y'all up to? Oh, y'all like my synchronicity video? I forgot to share that with y'all, man. I forgot to share that with y'all. I forgot to share that with y'all. It still blows my mind when I think about that. It still blows my mind when I think about that. Who has ever heard, first of all, who's ever heard of menthol soap? Who's ever heard of that? I didn't even know such a thing existed. Leah didn't even know such a thing existed. She was just, I guess, scrolling through and just clicking things to have, it's like DoorDash, but they'll go to like Walgreens and stuff and get stuff for you. And I think she like, it was like CVS or Walgreens or something like that. I don't even know. And I don't know if she bought it or what, but she clicked on I guess the menthol soap, and I had never heard of it, let alone, somebody on TV talking and singing about it at the same time I'm dealing with it, I was like, what? What? Blew my mind, man. I was like beside myself. I was in a different world laying there in that bed, and I forgot to share that with y'all. I put the video on Facebook. So if you follow me on Facebook, you probably already heard that story, but I forgot to share it with my YouTube people. Yeah, I think if we look around and you're looking for them, you can find sync. See, because I feel like we've just been so programmed to ignore synchronicities. We've been so programmed. Oh, that's just your imagination. Uh, oh, that just exists in your head. Well, no shit, it exists in my head. That your imagination is the most powerful thing you have. I think now I'm not going to speak conspiratorially. I'm going to speak from the perspective of creating this 3D game. If y'all listen to Naya, she explains a lot of these things in much greater detail than I can, but she really helped me get a firm understanding of creating this game. That was part of it. That was part of getting all these entities in amnesia, completely forgetting, because that's the point of this game. The point of being a human on planet Earth is to completely forget who you are, to get lost in this character, and to get caught up in the drama of the game. That's the whole point of it. That's the whole point. So I think that was just simply a part of it. That was a part of it. This programming you and getting you to believe that the things that happen in your head are just meaningless make believe. That don't pay attention to that. And then the less we pay attention to that, the more in the 3D game we are, and the more lost and the more we completely forget how powerful you are. You completely forget how creative you are. You completely forget who you are. So anyway, I kind of trailed off there a little bit, but yeah, I think that the synchronicities happen a lot more than we realize. We see them, but we ignore them. But yeah, that's part of the game. That's part of the game. Part of the game. No, it's just your imagination. Well, no shit, that's my imagination. What do you think? Like, and I know I used this example the other day, but this iPhone right here, at one point in time, this was nothing but a figment of Steve Jobs' imagination. Where did this exist before it became a reality? In somebody's imagination. See what I'm saying? Your imagination is the most powerful thing that you have. And a big part of that 3D game has been not letting you know that, not letting you know that. The things that go on inside your head, it's nothing. Don't pay attention to that. Search out here for your answers. Come to me for your answers. You're not powerful enough to come up with your own answers. Come to somebody like me or search out here. Listen to the news for your answers. You know what I mean? Listen to this expert or listen to that doctor or this scientist. Don't trust what's going on in your own intuition, in your own mind. You know what I mean? Makes sense? It's been real twisted and skewed for decades and decades and decades to get us to that point of 3D. Makes sense? You know what I'm saying, right? Yeah, no. Hey, look, no. It's when we first start awakening, it does the hardest part about it is you find all your people on the internet, but in real life, it's like, where are they? And I can remember feeling very alone, feeling very, very alone, and having to come to terms with that. Now though that I quit worrying about being alone, I quit worrying about it. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Fine, I'm alone then. Whatever. Then I attracted somebody into my life that is on the same wavelength as me. Now, this is just normal conversation in our house. And I'm going to tell you what, when you do start attracting those kinds of people into your life, when you do, it'll blow your mind, man. It'll blow your mind. Because there's nothing that I have to sit and explain to Leah. I don't have to explain nothing to her. I don't have to teach her nothing. Nothing. She just gets it. She'll just open her mouth and start saying something that I was thinking. And I'm like, dang, I'm getting used to it now, but it used to like really blow my mind. Because I was always so accustomed to having to keep those thoughts to myself, you got to keep those thoughts and those ideas to yourself because everybody around you is like, They look at you like, And it just kind of makes you wonder, man, what do you think about all day? I know I said this the other day, but thinking back, all the people, I would just got to the point where I would just keep all that to myself and just, for the most part, be quiet because I couldn't really relate to anybody, And then you got to wonder, man, all these 3D humans what are they, if they're even real humans, they might be just bots in this game. That's another hard thing but I'm just imagining that you are a real entity in a human skin suit. What do you think about all day? If the things that I'm saying sound too outlandish and crazy, what goes through your mind all day? I don't get it. You know what I mean? And I don't mean that in a mean way. I don't mean that in a condescending way. I mean, seriously, I would love to live in your head for a minute, just out of curiosity, Yeah, to people who don't really understand. But it's not just the people who don't understand, because I've been there. I remember what it was like to not understand, but how are you not thirsty for the knowledge? That's what I don't get. How are you not like in awe? My whole life, I've been in awe of something is wrong here. It's been eating at me since I was a little kid. I can remember being 8, 9 years old thinking, this place ain't right. There's something wrong here. Something is wrong with all this. And I couldn't figure out what it was. And it drove me nuts. And I would look around at all the other little kids like, well, obviously nobody else feels this way. Everybody else just seemed like I can remember wondering, how does everybody just know to link up and play the same game together? And I'm not talking about like a kid's game. I'm talking about the life games that everybody's playing. How do you just know? It's like all the other kids just automatically flow right into the little games that we're supposed to be playing in school, and how I just always felt so out of place my whole life growing up, Anyway, I don't even remember where I was going with that. I was making a point and I lost it. Sorry. I'm still waking up. I ain't even halfway done with my coffee yet. Oh yeah. Speaking of which, I got new merchandise coming in the store. I got new merch. I got a minimalist. I'm using this right here as my design. I got new merchandise, Anyway, I just did that last night. That's the only work that I did all day yesterday. I designed new merchandise. Anyway, though. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think arguably the biggest part of awakening is trusting yourself. That's the biggest part. The biggest part of awakening. Trusting yourself. Trusting yourself. We've been so programmed and so conditioned not to trust ourselves, to look out here for somebody else to give us the answer. We don't trust ourselves. We don't. That's why I haven't really talked about it in a while, but I have a couple of things that I'll tell people that you can do this, and it doesn't make you more intuitive. You know what I mean? You don't make people say, how do I become more intuitive? You don't become more intuitive. You become more trusting of yourself. That's what you do. You become more trusting, because the main reason why people aren't intuitive is because they have that inner battle. They have that other voice in there, the voice of logic, trying to, override everything, trying to explain everything logically and reasonably and blah, blah, blah. And men are really bad with this. I think when it came to that part of the game, I think they targeted men, and men bit the bait, hook, line, and sinker way, way easier than the women did. But there's still a lot of women out there that struggle with it too. But with that logical, analytical thinking brain, the men struggle with that bad, because the volume knob gets turned way up. Crank that logical brain up and then turn the volume of the intuition way down. I'm thinking there's some dudes out there that have their intuition on mute, like straight up, have it on mute, So like what I always tell people, what you do is, and this is going to sound kind of easy, but it's not easy. And you have to be in the position. You have to be in it, and you have to be living it. If you don't allow yourself, like say you're in a situation where you're afraid, you don't know what's going to happen, you don't know what could go wrong. The first thing that happens is we have this part inside of us that wants to kick in and start controlling everything out of fear. It kicks in, it wants to control everything out of fear, damage control. Well, if we don't allow that to kick in, and we just let everything flow and see what happens, and just not let fear in the driver's seat, doing this over a long extended period of time, every time we're in a situation where we're scared, where we're afraid, where we want to control everything, if you just step back and take your hands off the wheel and let the universe take the wheel, it sounds easy. Wait till you're in the position. Wait till you're in the position where you're afraid. You don't know what's going to happen. See if you take your hands off the wheel. Most people don't. Most people grab the wheel and try to control the whole show. But if you take your hands off the wheel and be like, all right, universe, you show me. I trust you. I trust you. You show me. And the universe will show you every time. And then if you do this enough times, one of the things that the ego loves is evidence. The ego will start to see, you know what I'm starting to realize? I don't need to control anything. Every time I step back and go, okay, universe, you take care of this for me, it gets done somehow. Everything magically works out. And then the ego starts to realize, I don't need to control anything. And then its volume knob, by default, it turns down. And then the intuition gets turned up. And then that's how you start adjusting yourself to have the one volume knob go down and the other one go up. And then at that point, it takes a while. It takes practice. It takes a while. It took me a couple of years Took me a couple of years, and I was living through some scary situations, like scary, really, really scary, you know. But after a while, it's different. I'm not saying it's going to take you a couple of years. It could take you a few months. I don't know. Everybody's different. I'm a fixed sign, you know. Maybe it took me longer, but yeah, you'll start to realize, man, I don't need to control nothing. I don't need to control shit. All I got to do is step back and say, all right, universe, I'll let you handle it. Even if the worst case scenario happens, I already know that you're doing that for a reason. And even if the worst case scenario happens, let it happen. Bet you anything, there's a reason for that. And you're going to show me what that reason was. And there is. Because even if you take your hands off the wheel and the worst case scenario happens, something even better comes in, you know, every time. And then you start to realize after a while, it's like, dude, I can hear my intuition now. I can hear it. I can hear that little whisper. It used to be a little whisper. Now I can hear it just like I used to be able to hear the ego. You know what I mean? That's what I've come up with because that's what I had to do. That's what I had to do. Yeah, I had anxiety like real bad. And when it comes to anxiety, you have to realize the only anxiety always bubbles down to one little point. And that's fear of losing control. That's what anxiety is. Anxiety is fear of losing control. That's it. Doesn't matter if it's legit. Doesn't matter if it's not legit. The only thing anxiety is fear of losing control. Fear of something happening that is out of your control. You know? Well, and when you begin to realize you never really had control anyway, that's the first part. The second part is you don't need control. You never had it and you never needed it because you're taken care of. You are taken care of. Trying to control everything, all that does is fuck everything up. That's all it does, you know. Makes it harder on you. At best, makes it harder on you. So, yeah, I remember all throughout my 20s, man, I was a walking, talking anxiety attack. That's why I was such an alcoholic. That's why I did drugs all the time because I had anxiety. I mean, I was just riddled with anxiety all day, every day. From the minute I woke up to the minute I go to bed, I was nervous and anxious and nervous and anxious. And now I don't even remember what it felt like to live like that, you know? I don't even remember what it felt like to live like that. I lived through a couple of my worst nightmares, got that out of the way. Now I don't suffer anxiety. I really don't. I straight up don't. I really don't, you know? And I think another big thing too is that I'm not scared of what could go wrong. I'm really not scared. Not scared. I've lived through it all, man. I'm not saying that nothing bad will happen to me, but if it does, oh well. Fuck it. Let it happen. What, you know, what's the worst that's going to happen? I lose everything. Whoopie-doo. Who cares? You know, it's, I don't know how to explain it, man. I'm just not afraid of anything bad happening anymore. I'm really not. I'm really not. I'm not saying that I want something bad to happen to me. I love my life. I love it, but I don't live in fear that my life could eventually end up going downhill. I don't. I just don't care, you know? Go ahead, take everything away from me. I don't give a fuck. You think I care? See, that's the thing, man. When it comes to materialism, I'm not one of those spiritual public figures who will speak against materialism. You know, like material things are bad. No, they're not bad. They are not bad. Dude, you go out, make your money, buy all the toys that you want, and enjoy your time. I'm all for that. Don't let material things own you. That's what you don't want to do. You don't want to let those material things and that money own you. See what I'm saying? And we've seen a lot of tests of character here over the past couple of years, haven't we? Over just that right there. Because if your material things own you, that means somebody somewhere has power over you or has control over you. You know? Somebody somewhere has power over you and control over you. My material things don't own me. Take them. Take them. I don't give a fuck. Take them. Doesn't scare me at all. It really doesn't. I don't care. Well, I can't say I don't care. I do care. I would really rather not lose everything. I would really rather not. If I had a choice, if it was up to me, I would really rather not. But if the universe says, all right, Rich, it's time for you to go through another learning experience. All right, I guess it is what it is then. This is what we're doing. You know what I mean? See what I'm saying? Does that make sense? That's a much, dude, when you can get into that mindset, life is so smooth, dude. Life is so smooth. You can just wake up every day and I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to put it in words, you know? No, I know it's hard when others depend on you because I've lost my kids twice. I lost my kids twice. Hmm. Yep. I've lost everything while I had my kids twice. They don't remember it. I ask them sometimes and they don't really remember it. But oh yeah, we've all been homeless together a couple of times. Yep. My kids have been through some shit, through some tough shit. But again, that's another thing that I said to myself, you know what, universe, I guess there's a reason why you're putting all of us through this. I guess there's a reason for it. I'll trust your plan later. That's what I said back. I lost my kids. I had no stable place to live. I was bouncing around the country, no stability in my life. And I finally just said to myself, you know what, universe, I trust that you have a plan. I trust it because there's nothing I can do about it. If it's out of your control, it's part of the plan, you know? So if the universe is pushing, if the universe isn't pushing, then you ain't got nothing to worry about. And you need to get in there. I'm talking about if the universe is pushing. You feel that pushback? You feel that pushback. You can tell universe is pushing you over the edge. You know, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. You feel the universe is pushing you over the edge. Then I just threw my hands in the air and said, all right, universe, whatever. I'm not going to sit around and worry about something I have no control of. I just can't wait till one of these days you show me what the plan was. You're either going to show me in this life or when I leave this life. I'll be up there on the other side like, oh, okay, I get it. That was a karmic contract or something like that, you know? And somehow, some way, shape, form, or fashion, at some point in time, this will make sense. And it happened to me a lot sooner than I thought it would, you know? A lot sooner. A lot sooner. Anyway, though. Been shoved multiple times. Yeah, man. Yep. You never know. You might discover one of these days universe has a big plan for you. You very well may. Very well may. Very well may. We're heading there anyway. It feels like a slow process, but I don't think I think it's moving a lot faster than we realize. That, you know, one of these days, like I said here real soon, I have a feeling we're gonna I'm not going to say it's going to be all done, but we'll have a much greater idea of what direction we're heading in next year. A much better idea. Well, I mean, shit, we already have a much better idea this year, you know? Every year, year after year, we've been evolving and understanding more and evolving and understanding more. And it's kind of an interesting ride to be on, you know? But anyway, see ya. Have a good one. Have a good dinner. Yeah, it's fun. Anyway, though. Anywho, how long have I been on here? Not long. Let me see here. It's being pretty quiet. Do. All right. Okie dokie. Yeah, I might be able to stay on here another 20 or 30 minutes. Might be able to stay on here another 20 or 30 minutes. Well, we ain't, well, I don't think we've been talking about anything major. Nothing major. Man, I couldn't imagine doing this like publicly, public speaking, you know? Something inside of me is still eating at me that's in my future. It's been eating at me for a few years now that's in my future. Somehow, some way. I don't know when, where, how. Man, that'd be scary, dude. I look at people like Dolores Cannon and I envy her, dude, because she just stands up there in front of that crowd like she don't even care. She just stands up there and she don't care. She's so relaxed. She's so chill. She's so, you know what I mean? It took me forever. It took me probably a full year to be able to go live on here and not care, you know? It would take a while, I think, to get used to that, to public speaking, you know? But eventually, if I did it enough times, it would end up becoming part of my comfort zone, I think. Anyway, though, what y'all up to? I don't come on here ever with anything solid to talk about. When I come on here, my brain is usually still in the waking up. You know, like a diesel. It reminds me of a diesel engine on a cold day. You got to let it sit for like an hour, you know? Oh, we always do some kind of adventure on the weekend. Probably be downtown doing something. I think I'm in a downtown kind of mood today. I could probably do that today. I'm not feeling too bad. I got some work I got to get done though. I got some work I got to get done. I think my earliest reading is due at noon. I gotta knock out some payments came in yesterday, so I got some personal readings to do. And I gotta think of I think I'm gonna do a new batch of readings for the signs the last half of November. What day is it? Okay, it's appropriate to 13th. All right. It's not a bad time to get started on that. I just don't want to wipe them out and knock them out too early though, you know. If like that's the thing about reading tarot on YouTube. I don't know. There's this because you want to be able to have something to do every day, you know. You want to be able to have something to do every single day. So pacing yourself. And if with the way I'm feeling right now, of course, I do have some personal readings to do, so that'll take some energy. But if I didn't have any personal readings to do, I could probably knock out 6 videos the way I'm feeling right now. If I sat down right now and started reading cards, I could probably knock out about 6 readings, you know. And then if I woke up and did 6 more tomorrow, that'd be all 12 in 2 days. It'd leave me with nothing to do, you know. It'd leave me with nothing to do. So anyway. Well, happy early birthday, Kelly. Happy early birthday. You think tarot is needed now? You think so? Yeah. Yeah, I like to use it more as a guidance tool, though, you know. I like to use it as a guidance tool because and I explain this to people who come to me for personal readings, but here's the way I explain it, okay? When you come to anybody, I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's me. I don't care if it's another reader on YouTube or a little gypsy sitting on the street corner. I don't care. There's only one thing that we can read, and that is your default timelines. Okay. You know how we talk a lot about how you have to be, everybody's programmed. Everybody is programmed. Okay. Well, that program is running on a default frequency. You are on a default frequency. Okay. And that default frequency is, for lack of a better description, producing your default timelines. See what I'm saying? Well, I dedicated my life to learning how to get off of my default timelines. That's all I ever learned how to do. That's all I ever set out to learn how to do was get off of my default timelines. So it's really, really hard for me to read for you and just say, oh, well, this is what's going to happen. Have a good day. I haven't used this analogy in a while, but to me, that's like taking your car to a mechanic and the mechanic says, oh, okay. So your cylinder 4 is misfiring. Your map sensor's fucked. Your O2 sensor is going out. All right. Have a nice day. Looks like your car is going to break down. Can't we fix the problem? Yes, we can. That's the difference. I'm like a tarot card reader, but I'm like an energy mechanic. You know what I mean? Like an energy mechanic. The only difference between me and an auto mechanic, though, is that I can't lift the hood and fix it for you. I can't do that. The only thing I can do is tell you how to do it. That part right there is fucked up. Those are the tools over there. Here's how you do it. You got to take this tool. You got to dig in here, pull the old part out. And here's the new part. You got to put the new part in. You might get your hands dirty. It might be kind of painful. It might suck. It might not be a very fun process, but I promise you, once you get that new part in and you get all the bolts tightened down, you shut the hood, your car will run a lot more smoothly. See what I'm saying? That's what I do as a tarot card reader. Because any reader out there can tell you, you have free will. You have the ability, this outcome that's coming out in this reading right now, if you don't like it, you can change it. But I've never met another reader that can tell you how. I'm not saying they're not out there. I can't be the only one. There's no way I'm the only one. So I'm sure they're out there somewhere. But I've never personally seen another reader that can tell you how. Okay, this spread right here says this is where you're at. This is what happened in the past. And I'll tell you, this is how it was manifested. This was the energy and the energy mixture and the behavior of these energies is what created this situation right here. And if you don't do anything about it, if you just let it keep running by default, this is what's more than likely going to happen. These are the pathways that are being carved out as a result of that frequency. However, here's some energy tools. Here's some energy tools. It can be something real big and difficult, or it can be something little and cheesy. Sometimes the littlest, cheesiest little things that we could go inside and start tweaking in ourselves make the biggest difference. And the minute you start doing that, though, the minute you start playing with your energy, like if you get a personal readings from me, you have one or two choices. You can either click off of it and say, Rich is the biggest idiot I've ever heard in my life. I'm not listening to that bullshit. And that is your right to do that if you want to. I'm sure there are people out there who have. I'm sure they have. But if you then you just roll on your default timelines. And that's cool. It's your experience. You're the boss. You're the president. You're the emperor. You're the king. You're the creator of what you came to experience. But for those of you who click off of it and you go, I wonder if that's legit. What would it hurt to try? What would it hurt to try playing around with my own perception? What would it hurt to try playing around with my own frequency? The minute you do that, the minute you take control as the entity of consciousness that you are, and you decide, no, I'm going to lift the hood and I'm going to start working on some stuff in here. From that point, I can't read what you're going to do. Nobody can. And if anybody pretends that they can, they're full of shit. Because that is when you take your destiny into your hands and it's your choice. It's your choice. So when you are operating on sheer free will, nobody can tell you what it is that you're going to do. When you take complete control of your destiny and of your energy and of your frequency. You know what I mean? Especially if it's kind of like fitness. It's kind of like fitness. Okay. Like my fitness coach, Coach Drew, all right, Rich, you want to build your chest muscles? You're going to have to take that big, heavy 120-pound bar and lift it like this. And you're just going to have to keep doing that until your muscles fail and let them heal up and then keep doing that again. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, So these energy tools and these teachings and these little guidance tools that I give you, it's not something you just do once or twice and it changes your whole life. No, you have to reprogram the default frequency, It's something that you have to make it a new, consistent way of life. And for those of you who actually do, you got to get over that first hump. Okay, well, I'm gonna play around. What if I allow myself, keyword allow myself, to be happy all by myself? What if I work on that? What if I work on, instead of desperately searching for somebody to come love me, to make me happy, what if I just back away from that and I start going inside and telling myself, you know what? I'm happy. I'm happy either way. I don't need somebody to come love me to make me happy. That takes some work. That takes work because we have been so brainwashed into believing that our number one priority in this life is to be in a romantic relationship that we have everybody out here empty and alone, desperately looking and searching for the person that's going to fill that void in their heart. And that person is not out there. Nobody can do that. So when we start working on filling that void in here ourselves, and then you get over that first hump and you start to realize, whoa, I am happy. First of all, that's the first thing you notice. Dude, I am happy. I don't need anybody in my life. And that sounds, to your average empty, needy person, that sounds like mean, but I don't even mean it in a mean way, like in a happy way, in the happiest way possible. I really don't need anybody in my life to be happy. I'm happy, Then you get over that first hump and you start noticing the people, the friends that you attract into your life, the romantic connections, or the possible romantic connections. You're starting to attract people into your life that are on a totally different frequency than the people you attracted before, you know? Then that's when you're able to look around and see the evidence. Dude, this shit works, man. That's when it becomes addictive. That's when it becomes addictive. It's like, man, what else can I change, dude? It's cool. Super cool. Yeah, we've all been brainwashed. We've all been brainwashed. It's part of this game, dude. Part of the game. Part of the game. And here's the hard part. The hard part is getting out of that anger, because we want to get angry and mad. But if we look at it from a perspective of that's just part of the human game, it's part of it. That was the whole point of this game, is to come in here and get programmed and forget who you are. If you step away from it and look at it like, oh, okay, cool game, right on, but I'm not playing it no more. I don't want to play this game. I think I'm mostly talking to the star seeds out there. You know what I mean? I think I'm mostly talking to the star seeds. It's possible, but I highly doubt that there are very many long-term humans watching me. I highly doubt there are very, very many. I'm sure there's a couple, but I would feel very safe betting that the vast majority of you who watch me and watch people like me who talk about things like this, because I am not the only one, and it resonates and it clicks and it makes sense, you're a starseed. You haven't been here probably for very many lifetimes. And here's the craziest thing too. When everybody always asks, what should I be doing? Nothing. You don't need to do anything. You're carrying a frequency. You're carrying a frequency. You don't need to do anything. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter where you go. It doesn't matter if you end up in jail. It doesn't matter where you go. Everywhere you go, you're carrying that frequency with you. Everywhere you go. Let me show you something. This works much better on an electric guitar. But I might be able to get this acoustic guitar to do it. Watch this. You hear that? You hear that other string going? You hear the other strings around it going? The vibration of the string affects the strings next to it. Hear it? You can probably barely hear it on this. If I had an electric guitar, it'd be a lot louder. You'd be able to hear it better. But when you pluck one of these strings, the vibration of this string affects the strings around it. And it starts vibrating at the same tone. See what I'm saying? That's what we're doing here. So no matter where you go, you're carrying that frequency with you. Does that make sense? That's the best way that I can think to explain it. My best analogy that I have. You're like a guitar string. And everywhere you go, you're carrying that energy with you. You walk into a crowded building. It's another reason why I've been working on, this is the funny thing too, and I know a lot of people, Dolores Cannon, Naya, there's been several people out there who will tell you this. Your main job is to come here and interact with as many people as you can. But the funny thing is when we get here, we don't want to interact with nobody. I want to go bury myself and get away from all that crazy shit. Woo, there goes the ear. But I've been working on my social skills. Like I've told y'all, when I say I'm working on it, I mean I'm working on it, dude. Like I've been working on like having conversations with strangers who start up conversation with me, and it's getting more comfortable. I'm better at it now than I used to be. But I've been working on being able to handle big crowds, like going downtown and walking through the casinos on a Saturday. Man, I guarantee you, we go downtown today, it's gonna be packed down there, dude. And working on being able to go around and be in big crowds, because I know that I'm carrying a frequency. And so are my kids. So is Leah, carrying an energy with us, carrying this energy everywhere we go, spreading it around, So anyway. Yeah, people can be pretty crazy, but that's what they came here to experience. That's what they came here to do. So let them be crazy. Just carry that frequency around with you. Carry it around with you. Just know that everywhere you go, you're supposed to be there because that your frequency is needed there. You know, I mean, good Lord, I was drug all across up and down the United States. Universe hog-tied me and drug me all over the place, man, before I finally said, all right, you're gonna sit in Vegas for a while. You know? You're gonna sit there in Las Vegas for a while. Probably that may be the reason. Maybe that's the reason. Because I've always been thinking, why the hell am I in Vegas of all fucking places, man? And the only thing that I can think, this is one of, I think, arguably one of the biggest tourist spots in the U.S. Definitely one of the biggest tourist spots. And this is a way that you can sit here. I can sit here and put my energy here, and people come and go, and come and go. You know, makes sense. I think it's needed in a place like this. They call this the Sin City. Well, maybe that's why. And I guarantee you, I'm not the only starseed who's here in Vegas. Guarantee it. Guarantee you there's a bunch of us here working on the grid, the power grid. It's the only thing I can think. If that's not the right answer, then I don't fucking know. Don't know. But anywho, I might be getting off here in a few minutes. I'm getting pretty pumped up and motivated for the day. I'm not seeing any evidence of Leah being awake. Of course, she doesn't really get on social media very much, but anyway. You don't mind being in front of large groups? That's cool. I can do it. I just have a feeling that's in my future. I have a feeling it's in my future, you know. I have a feeling. If it is, it is. If it's not, it's not. I can still get it done. I can still get my job done all by myself, though. That's the funny thing. I can still get the job done, at least for now, sitting in a room by myself. You know? Yeah. I used to have social anxiety real bad. And I think that I probably still do, but I'm getting over it. And that's my thing. I always believe in whenever I identify a weakness in myself, I always start fighting it, you know? Oh, I got social anxiety. All right, well, guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go put myself around people. I'm gonna start going around and carrying on conversations with strangers and going around people until I learn to get comfortable with it, you know? I identify a weakness in myself, I start working to fight against it. You know? There's too many people out there that they just let their weaknesses control them. I did that for too many years, dude. Too many years I let my weaknesses control me. Now, when I notice a weakness, so groups of people make me nervous. Well, guess what I'm gonna do? Guess what? I'm gonna go downtown to the strip and I'm gonna walk around in crowds, you know, and it's draining too. Go downtown, walk around for a couple hours. I come home ready for a nap, you know. But it gets a little easier each time. A little bit easier and a little bit easier. A little bit easier. Those people who sit in their little comfort bubble of fear, and you know what I mean? That's just no way to live life, I don't think. I don't think that's any way to live life, dude. Nope. But anyway, people can smell manipulation on you? What do you mean by that? I don't know what you mean by that. Drawn to my humor? I don't really think I'm a very humorous person. Actually, no, people always think I'm being the funniest when I'm being serious. If I try to be funny, I'm not funny. If I try to be funny, I'm not funny. Usually people always find me the funniest when I'm being dead serious. I ain't even playing, you know? I'm one of those kinds. But anyway. Ooh. Aquarius? Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I'm an Aquarius. I don't care, dude. I don't even care. We aren't the most hated ones anymore, though. We used to be. We used to be the hated ones back 10 years ago. Go through some astrology sites. What's the most hated sign? Aquarius men. Aquarius men. I'll never date an Aquarius man. Oh, Aquarius men. Now, though, now that we're in this day and age, Aquarians in general, men and women, are the ones that everybody turns to. Now, have you noticed that? Have you noticed that shift, that change? It's weird. It's weird. Yeah, people are starting to love Aquarians now. Oops. I didn't mean to delete that message. Hang on. I meant to, whatever. It keeps hiding the comments and I can't find it in my settings as to why it does that. But anyway. Yeah, I actually, I was real good friends with a Scorpio that had an Aquarius moon one time. I was real good friends. I had a real good friend. And I always wondered, I was like, what is it? You're not your average Scorpio. What's going on in there that makes you so cool and different and weird than your average Scorpio? And she had an Aquarius moon, you know? But I think another interesting thing too, see, my circle is real small, real super small. And the only other person other than Leah and my kids that is a regular everyday part of my life that I've gotten real close to is Coach Drew, my fitness trainer. And he's a Scorpio with a Cancer moon. He's a Scorpio with a Cancer moon. That's the wateriest energy that I've ever been close to, you know? Usually I struggle badly trying to relate to and communicate with water signs. Scorpio with a Cancer moon, it doesn't get a whole lot waterier than that, you know? That's about as watery as it gets. Yeah, and he's like my best friend. Aside from Leah, he's like my second best friend, you know? But no, he's super, super cool. Super cool. No, not really moody. Not particularly. Not really. Not particularly. And what I think it is, though, you know what I think it is? I think no matter who you are and who your sign is, when you start walking a path of being in control of your energy, I don't care what your sign is. When you start saying to yourself, okay, well, I'm a being of consciousness. You know, I'm not a person who is a zodiac sign. I'm a being of consciousness. And you start becoming familiar with yourself and your energies and your frequencies, and you start using your energies for the greater good. Like, how can I use Aquarius energy, you know, or Scorpio or Cancer or whatever you are? I think anybody can pretty much come together and get along to a certain extent, you know, pretty much anybody. Because like if you take two energies like Scorpio and Aquarius are perfect example. If you take those two energies and you just put them together, you know, arbitrarily stick them together, it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be a struggle. Those are not two energies that by themselves just flow together and mesh well. But when you have two people, as a matter of fact, he's dating an Aquarius too. He's dating an Aquarius too. But when you have two people, regardless of your sign, who are on the frequency and the level of, I want to try to understand you, you know, I want to try to understand you, then that's when we get a lot of growth in any kind of connection. I want to learn your energetic language. I want to learn how to communicate with you. You know, instead of like what we have a lot of people out there doing is you get people together in either a friendship or especially a romantic relationship. And we just draw all these boundaries and we just demand that somebody understand us. I just demand that you see things from my perspective. I demand that you understand what I mean when I say this. You know what I mean? We put all these demands on other people. We put these boundaries around us and then we demand that everybody tiptoe around our boundaries. And that's no way to live, dude. It's unfair. So that's the day and age that we're coming up to, is when everybody's starting to understand you are much more than your zodiac sign. You're much more than anything involving this human skin suit. And then soon we'll be communicating telepathically. That'll be cool. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine that? We do it all the time anyway. We do it all the time anyway. And we just ignore it. We just ignore it. Well, you've learned to be more sensitive. Your daughter and husband are both Cancer. Well, then I think that was the reason for that connection. That was the reason for that connection. That was the reason. But to me, I think the best, okay, so like take that for example. Like the best way that any kind of connection can come together and grow together is when both people are trying to understand each other. So if you have one person that's not very sensitive and one person that's extremely sensitive, I think it's both of those people's responsibility. If I'm insensitive and you're real sensitive, it's my responsibility to learn to be more sensitive. And it's your responsibility to maybe work on getting thicker skin. And we meet in the middle. We meet in the middle, you know? I don't think there should be any kind of one-sided connection. Like if I'm very unsensitive and you're very sensitive, I think that's really fucking unfair for me to say you need to learn to get over it. That's unfair as fuck. And it's equally unfair for you to tell me that it's my responsibility to be more sensitive. You know, we shouldn't have one person in a connection bending all the way over for the other person. I think two people have to come together and say, okay, well, this is what I need to work on. And when both people are doing that, that's when we have growth. That's when we have growth. When you have two people come together who are willing to work on themselves, that's when we have growth. That's when you have a connection that doesn't matter what your sign is, doesn't matter who you are. If two people come together who are both willing to work on themselves, you know, there's nothing really that can come between you. Not really. Not really. So anyway, yeah, communication is it goes a lot deeper than people think it does. It goes a lot deeper. Goes a lot deeper because especially when you have two people come together who speak different languages, who speak different languages, that's when it's not just communication. Because if me and you speak two totally different energetic languages, I can be communicating very, very fluently and you won't even understand what I'm saying. See what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I need to learn what is your language, and I need to be patient with you while I teach you what my language is. And I really think that once we start diving into that deeper and deeper and deeper, that's when telepathy will begin to take over. That's when, because that's what telepathy really is. When we think telepathic communication, don't think you're hearing my thoughts as English words. It's all energetic communication. It's an understanding of an entire concept like that. Bam. It's not as slow and long and drawn out as these human words. Boom. Kind of like whenever I'm up there reading a tarot spread, I flip the cards out. Bam. I see the whole shebang. And then I'm like, how am I going to put that into words? How am I going to put that into words that you understand? I see the scenario, the start, the finish, and what all happened and what energies influence. Boom, right there. Makes sense. Anyway, though. Anywho, I think it is about time for me to get on out of here. It's 8 o'clock. It's 7:53. It's almost 8 o'clock here in Vegas. I got to make sure the kids are good and fed. And if Leah's up, I'm going to make her a cup of coffee. Make sure the kitty cats are fed. And then we're going to get this weekend rolling. I still have to do the weekend. I don't know if I'm going to do I might just skip the weekend forecast, y'all. I might. My next all sign video might be the weekly. It very well may be. I want to get started on a new group of individual sign videos, so I'll probably, again, don't hold me to it. This isn't a promise, but this is the idea in my head right now. I would like to be able to get Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer done today for like the last half of November. That's what's in my head right now. We'll see if I get to it. Anyway, I'm out of here, y'all. Enjoy the rest of your day.